What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now. I'm Alex, and in this video, I'm back again to talk about Hellblade 2. And you know, I did a tweet a few days ago, and I kind of wanted to just go based off that tweet. I want to talk about the marketing, and I want to talk about just the hype or lack thereof for Hellblade 2. Now, look, if you haven't watched the other videos, like I want to make sure you know where I'm coming from, okay? When it comes to this game, I'm a fan. I'm a huge fan. Like I really love the first game. I replayed it just a few weeks ago. I actually made a video on my retrospective channel. I'll link it below if you guys want to see it. I'm very big into it, and I've said this before, and I will stick to it. Like, you're not going to get me off this talking point. I believe this is going to be, or it's at least can be, one of the better games of the year. And even I tweeted, like, I think it's going to be a game of the year contender. Whenever I say stuff like that, I'm selfish, okay? I'm talking about myself. I'm not talking about, oh, this is going to appear at the Game Awards. Although, to be honest with you, this is a kind of, I think it would be a kind of critical darling type game. So I actually do think Hellblade 2 could get nominated for, like, different awards at the DICE Awards or Game Award. And honestly, I don't care about those things, but I do believe this can be one of the better games of the year, okay? So I was thinking about it. I've been thinking about Hellblade quite a bit, and I saw a tweet out there that, is just talking about it, but there's very few tweets out there just talking about it, so I quote tweeted it, and it got decently popular the day I did it, just talking about, like, and this is just me, and now here we are, on YouTube, and we're putting it out there, and we're seeing, who comes to watch this video. I'm just not seeing anything. I mean, I could be wrong, right? I really try, and I really think I do a pretty good job of not putting myself in, like, a small little bubble. I cover, like, hundreds of games, right? So I'm constantly, like, jumping around. I don't think I'm isolated. I don't think I just see one side of the picture. I try to see as much as possible. I really don't see the hype for Hellblade 2. Now, there's a couple parts to that, right? Number one, is that actually right? Is there really no excitement? And, we can start there, and I think the answer is kind of no. Now, do I think, and that really moves us, I guess, to part two, does that mean the game is in trouble or the game's not going to do well? No, it does not mean that. And I do want to make that clear, right? So, like, let's throw that out there right now. This is a game, and people have made great points, even to my tweet. This is a kind of game that, to give it credit, is actually pretty hard to market if you think about it. And I think it's actually something I even talked about with Hellblade 1. Like, the story's pretty deep. And if you play, the first Hellblade game, and I won't spoil, like, the full thing, but if you play it, like, there's quite a bit to that story, and it is kind of a game you just have to play. Like, it's almost hard to fully, articulate it. I mean, I've long talked about kind of the originality of it with the voices, right? So, like, you put on the headphones, and voices are bouncing between your left and right ear, or it's pulling away, and then it's pulling up really close to the mic, right? Like, it's so unique. And even the game itself, like, there's nothing unique about the gameplay in terms of, and I like the combat. I think the combat's actually quite fun, but it's simplified. It's a simplified combat style. And then the puzzles, you're just trying to find symbols in a world. You're manipulating objects. That's very common. It doesn't do anything new in that department. But I do think as a whole, the game is quite unique. And I can imagine that being hard to push and to, promote, right? And honestly, like, I guess I was around, like, the YouTube channel was active when the first Hellblade came out, but I didn't really follow the news as much. I wasn't really part of it. So I got to be real, like, I don't know. I don't know what the feeling going into that game was. I mean, it was a new IP. It was from a studio that had done some stuff, but, and it kind of almost more critical darling than maybe, like, commercial selling. Like, none of their games Enslaved, which is an amazing game, but that game didn't, like, do gangbusters, right, in terms of sales. So I don't know how it felt leading into Hellblade 1, but I can certainly tell you, how it feels going to the second game. There doesn't seem to be a lot of energy for it. And I'm not here to sit and start a console fight either, right, where it's like, okay, well, is it because it's an Xbox exclusive? Like, would it get more on PlayStation? I mean, there is, I think, something to be said about the marketing itself, right? Like, I do think you can kind of analyze that. But to go PlayStation versus Xbox, I'm personally not going to do it. I guess you can get into it, but I'm not. In terms of, okay, well, yeah, is the marketing itself not good? Yeah, I mean, look, again, it's a hard game to push, but I feel like you got to do more than what you've done. I'm recording this on April 30th, okay, the last day of April, and there just hasn't been a lot, and even when we've seen this game, it has been in snippets. Like, now look, I don't need like a 20-minute, I don't need a 20-minute deep dive into gameplay. In fact, we've gotten smaller sections of that in gameplay, but I think you need a little bit more than what you're doing now. And granted, I will say this, things do pick up, especially modern day. Things do pick up the closer you get, especially like very close to when the game comes out. There's actually quite a bit. And we are in that range. Like, it would not shock me at all. And it's actually, again, why I want to make this video kind of now. Next week, it would not shock me at all if we started to get more and more stuff. Now, look, like a few weeks ago, maybe like, what, 2.5 weeks ago, we got the previews. Like, people got to play it, and people did a preview, like, event thing, and there were articles written. That was the most we've heard about that game in years, like, literally years. So it's not like we've gotten nothing. I don't want to, come across that way. And again, I don't want to come across like the game is in any trouble. It might be in trouble in terms of, like, do people know it's coming out? Because honestly, I could say it might be in trouble in that way. But am I worried about the quality of the game? Like, literally not even in the slightest. I think the game is going to be so good. I just don't know if people even know it's coming because it has been so quiet. But yeah, I mean, again, I wouldn't be surprised if next week we started hearing more. This is around the time, too, where it's like, I don't know, because technology listens in and hears us, right? Like, I wonder, is my phone or YouTube on the computer, is it going to start playing Hellblade ads, after I make this? It might. It honestly might. Like, even like the conspiracy theory kind of aside, right? We are in the range where it's close enough, where you imagine if there's any kind of marketing, for this game or promotion kind of period, Microsoft pays for ads, and they push it out, and it's very possible you're going to start to see Hellblade ads. And it actually, sometimes people will tell me this, like in the comments, sometimes the ad for my video will be the game I'm talking about in the video, which I always find kind of fun, when that happens. I wouldn't be shocked. I wouldn't be shocked if an ad for this video was Hellblade 2. Or, maybe in the next week or two, the ad for this video is Hellblade 2. Really, and we can maybe end the video with this, because so far it's kind of been about Microsoft and Xbox and Ninja Theory, right? Like them themselves. Now, again, to end it, maybe like the community. Now, this is something you can kind of put on like the talking heads or talking faces or whatever you want to call it. Like, say, some of the Xbox folks, right? This is where it would get more console-like, even though I don't want to make it a war. And this is not about it being a war, but it does maybe fall on some of like the bigger Xbox people. Like, why aren't they talking about it, right? And, I guess, look, they can talk about whatever they want. If they don't want to talk about Hellblade, they don't have to. But I do, and like the reason I sent the tweet in the first place was actually, it was like a 50-50. I haven't seen Xbox push it, but I also haven't seen excitement for it. So it really is kind of, what I mean? Like, it's one thing for them to be pushing ads and just trailers and new interviews or whatever it might be, and then there not to be any support from that, right? People just don't care. That's one thing, but it's also another thing when kind of both things are lacking, when there's no excitement. It doesn't seem like it. I'm not saying people aren't like, there's probably excitement out there, maybe even like me, and people just aren't vocal, or they don't have a YouTube channel to talk about it, right? There are factually people that are excited, but you don't have this mass, I don't know, like you just don't see it online. And then you also don't have Xbox pushing it. And so, that's just kind of why I want to throw this video together. We'll see what happens over the next couple of weeks. But like I've said in the past, like, I'm going to cover this game quite a bit. I'm going to do a review and plenty of other videos as well. I'm psyched. It's the May game for me, and it's one of my most anticipated games of the year, of the entirety of 2024, and especially what we have left. It's up there. So let me know what you guys think in the comments. Make sure, as always, you're subscribed to the channel, bell icon turned on. I hope to see you all on the next one.